America's fast food system is breaking fast, not slowing down, not declining, breaking. In 2025, over 1,600 major fast food locations have already shut down, and we're only 3/4 through the year. Franchise bankruptcies are accelerating, labor costs are up 23% since 2020, and the average combo meal that cost $6 in 2018 is now over $11 in most U.S. cities. And guess what? People are walking away. For the first time in modern history, low-income Americans, the backbone of this industry, are quitting fast food in droves. Chains you grew up with are closing overnight. Prices are outpacing paychecks. And the so-called value meal, it's now a luxury. This isn't just inflation. This is collapse. And by the end of this countdown, you'll know exactly which household names are barely holding on and which ones may not survive the year. Number 12. Boston Market. For years, Boston Market was the shortcut to a comforting home-style dinner. Rotisserie chicken, warm sides, and family bundles made it the no-stress Sunday meal for working households across America. But in 2025, that familiar comfort has turned into one of the industry's clearest warning signs. What was once a dependable fast casual favorite is now a chain fighting simply to stay alive. The most alarming cracks appeared long before the menu changed. Boston Market has spent the past few years tangled in lawsuits, unpaid wages, and unpaid supplier bills. In New Jersey, state officials temporarily shut down multiple restaurants after workers reported going months without pay. One of the company's largest suppliers even won a multi-million-dollar judgment over unpaid invoices, evidence of a system running on fumes. And across the country, dozens of locations now sit dark with temporarily closed signs that haven't changed in over a year. The real tragedy is what those closures represent. In many suburbs and small towns, Boston Market wasn't just another storefront. It was a place families leaned on when time was tight and budgets were thin. But the chain's rotisserie supply disruptions, management shakeups, and mounting debts have pushed franchise owners to walk away. The exact number of recent closures is data not confirmed, yet the pattern is unmistakable. The brand is shrinking fast, and in a year where the very concept of value-driven dining is being redefined, Boston Market's slow fade might be one of the saddest losses of them all. Number 11. Little Caesars. Back in the day, Little Caesars was basically a lifeline. It wasn't glamorous, but it didn't have to be. It was the place where $5 got you a whole pizza. Hot and ready, no waiting, no hassle. But here we are in 2025, and even the cheapest slice in America isn't safe anymore. That legendary $5 price point? Gone. Completely gone. In many cities, the same basic pizza is pushing $7.25 or more. And if you're ordering delivery, toss another $4, $6 in fees on top of that. The core. Identity that made Little Caesars special, being the last truly affordable fast food option, is unraveling fast. And here's the kicker. Even with new stores technically opening, the actual number of underperforming or quietly closed locations is growing. Corporate keeps touting expansion, but ask families across the Midwest or the South and they'll tell you the truth. Little Caesars is no longer the automatic choice when money is tight. And it's not just pricing. Cheese prices have exploded. Mozzarella futures are up 35% year over year. Pepperoni shipments have become irregular due to supply chain disruptions from Brazil and Argentina. The result? Shrinking margins, higher prices, and fewer customers. What's even more ironic is that frozen pizzas from Walmart or Aldi are often cheaper, larger, and come with fewer delivery headaches. In a time when every dollar counts, a freezer aisle Totino's is beating Little Caesars at its own game. That's how fragile the system is right now. Number 10. Taco Bell. At one point, Taco Bell was the place for late-night cravings and broke college students trying to stretch a $10 bill into a full-blown fiesta. The chain leaned into chaos. Wild new menu items, purple interiors, the $5 cravings box that could power a graveyard shift. But 2025 has brought something Taco Bell never planned for: disillusionment. The party is fading. The vibes are off. Prices have surged so quickly that the brand's core audience, Gen Z and young working-class diners, are now treating Taco Bell like a guilty splurge instead of a weekly routine. The $5 Cravings box? It's closer to $9.50 with tax and fees in many urban areas. The once lovable cheesy roll-up now feels like an overpriced snack. Add in delivery app fees and you're paying $18 for something that used to cost you $6. And while corporate earnings still show modest growth, insiders admit that the majority of that lift is driven by pricing, not traffic. In fact, foot traffic among lower-income customers is down nearly 11% year over year. The so-called value perception is in freefall. Dollar store snacks and microwavable burritos are eating into Taco Bell's turf. Meanwhile, ingredient volatility, especially on tomatoes, lettuce, and beef, has crushed operational consistency. Franchisees are frustrated. TikTok is full of young people posting receipts in shock. The chain that used to own the 2 a.m. snack run now feels like it's lost its rhythm entirely. And in the war for fast food dollars, perception is everything. If Taco Bell can't hold on to its status as the cheap fun option, it risks becoming just another overpriced drive-thru. Number 9. Popeyes. Remember the chicken sandwich war? When Popeyes went viral, lines wrapped around blocks, and for a brief moment, it looked like they might actually dethrone Chick-fil-A. That moment has passed. And in 2025, Popeyes is facing a brutal reality. Once the hype fades, you're stuck dealing with fundamentals, and right now those fundamentals are weak. Chicken prices are volatile, cooking oil costs have nearly doubled since 2020, and packaging prices remain stubbornly high. Those TikTok-famous chicken sandwiches now cost up to $9.79 in some markets. Combo meals that once felt like a steal are now luxury tier for the very communities Popeyes used to serve. And while sales haven't fallen off a cliff, they've stagnated. Flat or slightly negative same-store growth has become the new norm. Franchisees in key markets, especially in the South, are starting to speak up about shrinking margins and increasing customer pushback. One operator in Georgia even described the business model as a break-even treadmill with spicy mayo. Not exactly confidence-inspiring. On the ground, things feel worse. Slower service, longer waits, and fewer limited-time offers are driving customers to competitors like Raising Cane's or even gas station fried chicken counters. And in a world where price, speed, and quality define fast food survival, Popeyes is suddenly coming up short in all three categories. It's not about the sandwich anymore. It's about whether people can still justify spending double digits on what used to be a cheap indulgence. Number 8. Jack in the Box. Jack in the Box used to be the weird, lovable insomniac of fast food, the place you hit after midnight for a couple of tacos and curly fries because nothing else was open and you didn't want to deal with people. But in 2025, the neon crown is fading, and the numbers? They're starting to scream. Same-store sales are now down multiple quarters in a row, most recently by over 5.6%. The chain is hemorrhaging traffic in key late-night windows. And why? Because late night is no longer safe, affordable, or reliable. Many locations across California and Texas have been forced to slash hours due to staffing shortages, security concerns, or simply not making enough money past midnight. That's a death sentence for a brand whose whole identity was built around the idea that you could get a burger at 2:30 a.m. without judgment. Prices haven't helped either. That $6 combo meal is now $10 or more in most cities. Add in delivery app surcharges, and some customers are paying $15 for what used to be drunk food. And let's talk strategy. Jack in the Box can't decide what it wants to be. Breakfast, tacos, burgers, milkshakes, it's all on the menu, but none of it dominates. That kitchen chaos puts pressure on workers, slows service, and confuses customers. One franchisee told a regional paper that it feels like running 4 restaurants inside one tiny building. And that's before you consider the aging infrastructure, poor drive-through design, and store interiors that haven't seen a real refresh since Obama's first term. Jack in the Box isn't just losing the night, it's losing its identity. Number 7. Dairy Queen. There was a time when Dairy Queen wasn't just a restaurant. It was a rite of passage. That first summer job behind the soft-serve machine, the after-school cone dipped in cherry red, the blizzard you shared with your crush in the parking lot while cicadas screamed in the trees. But now in 2025, Dairy Queen is melting, and not just in the figurative sense. The collapse has been slower, quieter, more regional than national, but that's what makes it even more painful. Because in small towns and rural corners of America where Dairy Queen was once the hangout spot, entire communities are watching their local stores vanish like childhood memories. The biggest alarm bell rang in Texas earlier this year when a franchise group shuttered more than 24 locations overnight. No warning, no transition, just closed signs slapped on the windows. A few months later, another cluster of stores lost their franchise rights after failing to meet corporate's aggressive remodeling mandates. In total, close to 40 locations disappeared in just 2 quarters, and that's just the public count. The real story goes deeper. Corporate has doubled down on costly modernizations, new digital menu boards, rebranded interiors, upgraded tech systems, but they come with price tags that smaller operators simply can't swallow. And inflation hasn't been kind to dessert. The cost of dairy, whipped toppings, mix-ins, even disposable spoons and cups have all risen between 18% and 40% since 2021. A medium blizzard now hits $6.25 in many markets, and that's before tax or delivery fees. Families who used to swing by twice a week are now cutting back to once a month, if that. Even the Trizza pizza, once a novelty, is now priced higher than a frozen DiGiorno. And let's not ignore staffing. With fewer teens working fast food and older workers fleeing for better wages elsewhere, many DQ locations are chronically understaffed, leading to slow service, long waits, and rising customer frustration. You can still find the magic, but you have to squint. And for many Americans, that fading flicker of nostalgia just isn't enough to justify the rising cost. Number 6. KFC. Once upon a time, KFC was the undisputed king of American fried chicken. You saw that red bucket and you knew it meant Sunday dinner, a quick family treat, or the fuel for a long road trip. But in 2025, the Colonel's empire is cracking, and not at the edges, but right through the middle. Same-store sales have now declined for 3 straight quarters, hovering around 3% to 5% in the U.S., and in some regions it's far worse. The real killer? Identity erosion. While newer competitors like Raising Cane's and Dave's Hot Chicken ride the wave of TikTok virality and minimalist single-item menus, KFC still feels bloated, trapped between trying to be everything and failing to be excellent at anything. The $5 fill-up box, now closer to $9.99 in major cities, and that's assuming they even have it in stock. Franchisees have been quietly pushing back against corporate mandates, frustrated by thin margins and steep costs on everything from chicken thighs to canola oil. One Midwestern operator leaked to trade press that labor costs alone have jumped nearly 20% year over year in his region, and that's before factoring in mandated upgrades like self-service kiosks or exterior remodels that run 6 figures apiece. In rural areas where KFC once thrived, entire locations have closed due to declining foot traffic. In urban markets, delivery platforms have squeezed the profit out of every combo meal, and competition from spicy fried chicken sandwiches at Burger King and McDonald's is cannibalizing what little market share remains. To make things worse, KFC has struggled to capture Gen Z loyalty. Younger consumers don't connect with the old-fashioned branding, and efforts to modernize Colonel Sanders have ranged from awkward to downright bizarre. Remember the CGI Colonel DJ from 2023? Yeah, nobody asked for that. The food still slaps. Don't get it twisted. But in a world where affordability, speed, and branding matter more than ever, KFC is fighting an uphill battle with a 20th century playbook. Number 5. Pizza Hut. There was a time when Pizza Hut wasn't just about food, it was about the experience. Sitting in those red vinyl booths, sipping Pepsi out of a big red cup, loading up your plate from the salad bar while that deep dish pan pizza sizzled in the back. It wasn't just a meal, it was Friday night. But those memories are exactly that now. Memories. In 2025, Pizza Hut is in serious trouble, not just because the world moved on from dine-in restaurants, but because the brand failed to adapt when the writing was on the wall. Same-store sales have declined nearly 7% in the last 2 quarters, and over the past 5 years, the chain has quietly closed over 200 U.S. locations, many of them the classic dine-in variety that defined the Pizza Hut legacy. Corporate earnings paint a picture of strategic transformation, but insiders say the brand is just trying to stem the bleeding. The core problem is structural. Pizza Hut was built for an era of big buildings, longer meals, and family time. But fast food pizza today is about speed, digital ordering, and low overhead. Domino's figured that out a decade ago. Papa John's followed suit. Pizza Hut, still stuck with oversized locations that cost too much to maintain, underperform in delivery, and sit empty half the week. And let's talk pricing. The $10 pan pizza? It's often over $17 now after tax and delivery charges. Add a 2-liter soda and some wings, and you're staring down a $30 order for a Friday night that used to cost you $12. Meanwhile, staffing shortages have made delays worse, and reports of wrong orders, undercooked pies, or ice-cold deliveries have surged on consumer review sites. In many cities, third-party apps don't even list Pizza Hut anymore due to fulfillment issues. Add to that the loss of brand loyalty among younger diners who now associate pizza with fast, customizable spots like MOD or Blaze, and it's clear that Pizza Hut's nostalgic glow isn't enough to pay the rent. The red roof still exists in our memories. But the actual buildings? They're vanishing. Number 4. Subway didn't just conquer fast food, it blanketed it. At its peak, you could find a Subway inside a gas station in rural Nebraska, a strip mall in Queens, and a college campus in Phoenix, all in the same day. It was affordable, customizable, and felt like a slightly healthier choice than greasy burgers or deep-fried nuggets. But in 2025, the Sandwich King is sliding faster than ever, and the cracks in the foundation are now full-blown fault lines. In just the last 5 years, Subway has closed over 2,600 U.S. locations, and this year the brand's total footprint dropped below 20,000 domestic stores for the first time in decades. Franchisees are bailing out left and right, citing rising rents, mandatory remodels, shrinking foot traffic, and thin margins that make turning a profit nearly impossible. Corporate continues to trumpet rebranding efforts, but on the ground, operators say the numbers just don't work anymore. Let's talk price. The legendary $5 footlong? Extinct. In cities like Los Angeles or New York, that same sandwich now clocks in at $9 to $11 with tax, and that's before you add a drink or chips. Customers are furious. Online reviews and Reddit threads are flooded with complaints about smaller portions, stale bread, inconsistent meat ratios, and workers rushing through orders. And while Subway keeps unveiling new signature subs and in-store tech, the core issue hasn't changed. It no longer feels like a bargain. In fact, grocery store deli counters are now eating into Subway's market share, offering fresher ingredients at lower prices. And younger consumers? They're flocking to fast casual competitors like Jersey Mike's and Firehouse Subs, where the prices are similar, but the quality and service feel like a noticeable upgrade. For a company that once outnumbered McDonald's, this collapse is jaw-dropping. And if the trends hold, Subway may become a ghost of itself before the decade is out. Number 3. Burger King used to be the scrappy challenger, the flame-grilled rebel that dared to go toe-to-toe with McDonald's, pushing the Whopper like it was America's sandwich of choice. But in 2025, that confidence is gone. Burger King is bleeding and the numbers are devastating. Earlier this year, corporate announced the closure of up to 400 underperforming U.S. locations, a move so large it sent shockwaves through the industry. Behind that announcement? A wave of bankruptcies among major franchise groups across Ohio, Michigan, Florida, and beyond. The problem isn't just bad branding, it's systemic. Rising beef prices, soaring labor costs, and outdated store designs are dragging the king into quicksand. Let's break that down. In 2019, you could grab a Whopper combo for around $6. Today, that same combo will run you over $11 in most major cities. Franchisees are struggling to meet corporate remodeling mandates, costing up to $500,000 per store, while also trying to pay staff competitive wages and deal with higher utility and rent costs. Many simply can't do it. As a result, traffic among lower-income households, once Burger King's core base, has dropped sharply. Surveys show a 12% year-over-year decline in visits from customers earning under $45K annually. And what about store quality? Yelp and Google reviews paint a grim picture. Dirty lobbies, broken soda machines, lukewarm fries, and wait times that would have been unthinkable 5 years ago. In cities like Chicago and Atlanta, you can find multiple shuttered locations within a few square miles. Grim reminders of what used to be. The final insult? Market share. In 2025, Burger King's share of the fast food burger market has dropped to its lowest point in 30 years, slipping behind both Wendy's and Five Guys in key metro areas. The crown is slipping. Fast. Number 2, Wendy's. Wendy's always had a reputation for being the honest fast food joint. Real beef, square patties, a cheeky Twitter account that actually made people laugh. But in 2025, even that fresh-baked image isn't enough to stop what's becoming a quiet catastrophe. Since 2024, Wendy's has closed nearly 240 U.S. locations, and leaked internal documents suggest another 200 to 300 could be gone by the end of this year. And while the brand still performs decently on paper, the behind-the-scenes reality is brutal. Franchisees are buckling under the cost of tech upgrades, menu board replacements, kitchen system revamps, and mandatory digital ordering platforms, all pushed by corporate in an effort to stay competitive. But these upgrades come with six-figure costs, and smaller operators are tapping out. One franchise owner in Pennsylvania publicly stated, "We can't modernize and stay open, it's one or the other." Now let's talk about value, or rather the loss of it. The iconic 4-for-4 meal deal that got so many broke college students and working-class families through hard times. It's now closer to $7.89 in most metro markets. A small Frosty, once 99 cents, is now $2.29 in many areas. These are the kinds of price hikes that feel personal to customers who've stuck with the brand for years, and the consistency is gone. Customers frequently report cold food, soggy buns, and undercooked fries, signs of staffing shortages and operational stress. Kitchen staff turnover is sky-high, especially in urban stores, and mobile ordering systems still feel clunky compared to competitors. What's worse is perception. Wendy's used to be the cooler fast food brand, but now Gen Z customers are flocking to smaller, trendier chains, or skipping fast food altogether. Online chatter has turned sour, with viral videos showing dirty kitchens and unappetizing orders racking up millions of views. In an economy where every dollar counts, Wendy's has become a middle-tier option with top-tier prices. That's a dangerous place to be. And if things don't change fast, Wendy's might not survive this decade with the same confidence it once had. Number 1. McDonald's. There was a time when McDonald's felt like the last brand standing. The Golden Arches weren't just iconic, they were eternal. A place that spanned generations, social classes, and zip codes. Whether you were a single mom on a budget or a Wall Street analyst on a lunch break, McDonald's was there, fast, reliable, and, most of all, affordable. But in 2025, even the world's most powerful fast food brand is cracking, and when McDonald's stumbles, the whole industry shakes. Let's start with price. From 2019 to 2024, McDonald's menu prices rose over 40%, far outpacing inflation. A Big Mac combo that cost $6.29 just a few years ago now regularly crosses $11.50 in major cities. A basic Egg McMuffin meal hits $8.99 in some airports. For working-class families, the very people McDonald's was built to serve, those numbers are now deal-breakers. Corporate justifies the hikes by pointing to rising wages, ingredient volatility, and delivery costs. But here's the kicker. Traffic among low-income households has dropped 9.3% year-over-year, according to leaked internal analysis. That's not a blip, that's a fracture. And then there's the E. coli scandal of 2024, a brief but brutal blow to public trust that forced hundreds of locations into temporary shutdowns and triggered a wave of lawsuits. Even though the crisis passed, the long-term damage to McDonald's always safe image still lingers. Add to that the rollout of digital kiosks, app-only deals, and AI drive-through systems, which many older or lower-tech customers find confusing, and suddenly the chain feels less accessible. Franchise owners are also under the gun. New remodel requirements, rising rent, and corporate mandates around equipment upgrades have squeezed margins tighter than ever. Some operators report net margins of just 4%, a dangerous number in a business built on volume. In major cities, entire locations are closing for good, quietly without press releases. And across social media, longtime fans are asking the unthinkable. Is McDonald's still worth it? That question would have been laughable 10 years ago, but in 2025 it feels very, very real. If even McDonald's can't shield itself from the collapse, what brand can? This is the part where we stop pretending everything's fine, because it's not. The dollar menu is dead. Fast food now takes longer, costs more, and leaves millions wondering if it's even worth it anymore. What we just walked through isn't about a few bad quarters. It's not a rebrand problem. It's not a temporary staffing issue. It's a structural collapse, and it's already happening. Franchisees are drowning in debt. Families are skipping Friday night takeout for the first time in a generation. Chains once seen as bulletproof are bleeding stores by the hundreds. What used to be the most affordable food in America is now pricing out the very people who built it. And behind every closed location is a ripple. Lost jobs, empty storefronts, and communities left behind. We're witnessing a moment that will define the next decade of American eating habits. The era of drive-through dominance is ending, and the fast food empire as we knew it is cracking wide open. If this breakdown made you look twice at your next combo meal, if you felt these changes in your own wallet, in your neighborhood, or in your late-night cravings, then hit subscribe. Because this isn't the end of the story. Just the beginning. More chains are collapsing, new ones are rising, and what's coming next will shock everyone who's still asleep at the wheel. Stay tuned, stay sharp,